Today, we will share the story of a man in his early 40s. This man often received blind date offers and went on several dates, but strangely, even though he made it to the second date, he couldn't develop a relationship, which caused him a lot of concern. What's even more intriguing is that all the women he's dated have said the same thing: "I don't find him attractive." Hearing this repeatedly made him curious about the reason behind it, so he asked them what the decisive factor is that makes women think this guy is attractive. In fact, when women reject a man's confession or give up on him, they often use phrases like, "I don't feel any attraction to you as a man." Many men have probably heard similar words before. So today, I'd like to discuss the most important core points that women consider when they find a man attractive as a potential partner. First, there are various factors that can make a woman feel attracted to a man as a potential partner. However, there is one thing that is almost universally true. Most women are attracted to masculine men. From a man's perspective, you might think that in today's society, other qualities are more important than strength. But there is a very primal instinct that has been passed down from ancient times. For example, in primitive times, men who were skilled at hunting, strong, and had leadership qualities tended to attract multiple women. Even in the animal kingdom, female animals naturally gather around strong male leaders, which can be attributed to the instinctive attraction to individuals who possess the strength to protect themselves and their families. Therefore, one of the criteria women subconsciously use to judge a man's attractiveness is whether he appears strong and masculine. However, misunderstanding what strength truly means in acting tough or aggressive can backfire. The strength we're talking about here means having a strong sense of self, knowing how to protect yourself, staying mentally stable, and exuding confidence. For example, it's about not easily getting intimidated in any situation and being able to clearly communicate your thoughts when necessary. It also includes the decisiveness and flexibility to not accept something you feel is wrong and, conversely, to honestly admit your mistakes when they're clear. In fact, many women often say, "I like kind and considerate men." However, the kindness and consideration they refer to here mean the generous and reliable consideration shown by a strong man. It is completely different from the kindness shown by a weak man who submits meekly and humbly. The problem is that many men take women's words at face value and mistakenly believe that women like men who always accommodate them and show them as much consideration as possible. As a result, even in situations where they should express anger, they end up apologizing first or constantly trying to please the woman, which causes her to perceive him as a weak man. At that moment, the man's appeal as a potential romantic partner is effectively gone. Surprisingly, this happens quite often. From the man's perspective, he might think, "I was just being nice and considerate, so why is this a problem?" However, from the woman's perspective, she might think, "This person seems too weak, like he's always being dragged around by me." Ultimately, she loses interest and concludes it's unlikely this will develop into romantic feelings. Looking at human relationships more broadly, most people are naturally drawn to those who possess greater value than themselves. The same applies when making friends. Generally, people prefer to be close to those who are equal or slightly more capable or attractive than themselves, rather than intentionally approaching someone they perceive as significantly inferior. This context applies equally to romantic relationships. At the very least, both parties should be able to view each other as equals. And on top of that, the man should give off the impression that he has decent credentials, capabilities, or charm for the woman to find him attractive. That's why women often use the expression, "a man I can respect," when talking about their ideal type. In other words, a woman must be able to evaluate a man slightly higher than herself for some reason, and she must feel that her own value increases when she is with him. Ultimately, even if you meet a woman you really like, if you blindly do everything she wants and constantly hesitate, never asserting your own opinions, you will quickly push her away. A lack of self-assertion and constantly following the other person's lead can make a woman wonder, why is this person so lacking in confidence, and eventually conclude that he is unattractive. Once the perception of unattractive is ingrained, it's extremely difficult to reverse that image. Therefore, if you want to date, it's essential to respect your partner while clearly maintaining your own boundaries and being able to express your thoughts clearly, such as, "This is how I feel in this situation. This does not mean you should act tough or aggressive for the sake of it. True masculinity lies in having a clear sense of direction, learning from mistakes and failures, and demonstrating mental strength and a firm sense of self that is not swayed by circumstances. As a result, women come to believe, this person can protect me and has the strength to keep our relationship stable. The trust and stability that form at this point directly translate into the charm that emanates from a woman's heart. Next. The second factor that women find attractive in men is their physical appearance. This is naturally related to their outward appearance. In fact, men usually look at a woman's face first when they see her. So it's easy to think women must look at a man's face first too. But in reality, women look at various factors such as height, build, style, and voice. Of course, there are women who prefer men with good-looking faces, but that is just one of many attractive qualities. Sometimes they are drawn to a tall height, broad shoulders, or a healthy, athletic build. Or they might be drawn to a neat yet stylish appearance or a pleasant, deep voice. So while the statement women don't look at faces may sound exaggerated, it's not entirely false. It often means that women look at various aspects beyond just the face. Let's look at some examples. Some women may feel a strong attraction to a man simply because he is taller than average. Others may be drawn to a man with a toned physique from regular gym workouts or prefer someone with a clean, trendy style. Many women also find men with a charming voice irresistible. In this way, the points that women find physically attractive are far more diverse than one might think. As a result, if at least one of the 5 elements women typically mention, face, height, build, fashion, and voice, is impressive, it is easy to think, this guy is okay. However, if none of the 5 elements are appealing, the evaluation is likely to end with, this person is okay, but I don't feel sexually attracted to them. Of course, external charm alone does not make a relationship. However, when the mental element of masculine strength mentioned earlier is combined with physical charm, the likelihood of a woman thinking, I would like to develop a deeper relationship with this man, increases significantly. Moreover, when this foundation is solid, additional charms such as a sense of humor, style, and eloquence shine even brighter. On the other hand, in situations where masculinity and physical attractiveness are completely absent, even if one has excellent humor and communication skills, they are likely to be seen as just fun or nice. Therefore, if masculinity and physical attractiveness are the main ingredients of a dish, then humor, sense, and communication skills are the seasoning. Just as seasoning alone cannot make a dish delicious if the main ingredients are not properly prepared, the same applies here. First, it is important to establish your own solid style and mental strength, maintain a neat and clean appearance, or highlight aspects such as height, build, or fashion sense that you can confidently showcase. The stronger this foundation, the more appealing qualities like consideration, humor, and conversational wit will appear. An important point to note here is that there is no need to feel burdened by the idea that you must be perfect in every way. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and there is no such thing as a perfect person in this world. Even if you are not tall, you can still exude a healthy and attractive aura by staying fit through exercise and taking care of your body. Even if you are not conventionally good-looking, you can make a positive impression by dressing neatly, maintaining a stylish hairstyle, and carrying yourself with confidence. Even if your voice isn't particularly good, you can reveal your own charm by speaking clearly and honing your conversational skills. The key is to develop at least one aspect of yourself to the point where you can confidently say, this is something I can showcase, while also striving to cultivate a mentally strong and unwavering masculinity. This requires consistent self-improvement and the process of gaining experience through trial and error. Ultimately, the core elements that make a woman find a man attractive as a potential partner can be summarized into 2 main points. First, a man who exudes strength. Women instinctively trust men who have a clear sense of self, do not easily lose their composure in difficult or tense situations, and can act or speak decisively when necessary. Second, a man who possesses a certain level of physical attractiveness. While looks aren't everything, a man should have at least one standout feature, whether it's height, build, fashion sense, or voice. that he can use to his advantage. When this is complemented by masculinity and physical appeal, qualities like humor and style can create an even more powerful synergy. Just as seasoning enhances the flavor of a dish, the value of seasoning is only truly revealed when there is a solid base ingredient. When all these elements are combined, it becomes clear why some men struggle to take things further than a first date or a few dates. No matter how witty you are or how much you try to be considerate of the other person, if you lack the essential masculine strength, women will inevitably feel a sense of disappointment. Additionally, relying solely on the notion that women don't care about looks and neglecting your appearance altogether makes it difficult to appeal to women. Ultimately, when women say, "I don't feel attracted to you," it's not just about appearance. It often stems from a lack of masculine confidence or a lack of outwardly appealing qualities. If you want to be good at dating, you need to first establish your own center and values, and then identify and highlight your strengths. In the process, it's important to avoid acting arrogant or overdoing it, and instead focus on steadily building your skills. This will give women the impression that you're reliable and have potential for growth, naturally leading them to think, "I'd like to date this person," or "I'd like to take things further." If you have been catering to women and putting yourself last, I encourage you to start expressing your thoughts more clearly from today. While it is difficult to change one's attitude or habits overnight, making small changes gradually will undoubtedly bring about new changes. In conclusion, the key to making a woman feel attracted to a man is surprisingly simple. It's showing a certain level of masculine strength and physical attractiveness. Once you have that foundation, things like a sense of humor, thoughtfulness, and good communication skills will come across as much more convincing. On the other hand, if you don't consider these two things at all and just try to be nice without any effort, the other person won. Feel any tension or desire to pursue you, and most importantly, they won't be able to sense your true value as a man. Therefore, it is advisable to bring out the strength that lies within you and gradually make external changes to enhance your appeal. Through this process, I believe you will eventually elicit a positive response from a woman, such as, "This man has a certain charm." That concludes today's story. Thank you to everyone who watched until the end. We at Dating After 40 will continue to share women's honest feelings and delicate emotions in greater depth. Please subscribe and like us for your warm support. Thank you.